Good morning, everyone. As you heard earlier, my name is Ellie Peterson. I'm a longtime member of this church, and I'm also a picture book author and illustrator. Today, I would like to posit that you are never too old for picture books. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that older children who have become proficient readers should still get to read picture books if they want. Once a child moves on to chapter books, we're pretty quick to erase all signs of picture books lest we hold them back from reaching their full reading potential. It's a whole other sermon. Joyce, I'll coordinate with you on that one. No, when I say that you're never too old, I mean you. You, person who read Michelle Obama's Becoming 7 times. Yes, you, person who reads the New York Times cover to cover with a cup of black coffee. Yes, you, person who read all 920 pages of Project 2025. Yes, you are never too old for picture books. What I mean to say by this is that you are not above or beyond picture books in your adulthood. In fact, I'd like to assert that picture books are works of art, sources of pithy social commentary, and a high form of literature. So with that, what is a picture book anyway? There are many definitions out there, but prolific children's book writer Anne Whitford Paul simply stated that a picture book is a book for people who can't read. I'd like to expand that. Picture books can be for emergent readers, and they can also be for people who can read, but who enjoy being read to, which is truly a large group. I mean, how many of you out there are audiobook listeners? I know I am, big time. And yes, they are aimed at children, typically children ages 2 through 8. Since they are aimed at the least experienced and least educated among us, many think they are some lower form of literature and art. Of all the types of books on shelves, picture books are the most likely to attract comments like, I could do that. And maybe you could, but you didn't, or haven't. That said, let's look at what goes into creating a picture book. I thought I would share with you what goes on into drafting some of my own picture books. Of course, you always start with inspiration, which is typically drawn from one's own life. Let me grab it. Sandcastles Are Forever was inspired by my own experiences moving as a child, as well as my experience as a teacher, and seeing how kids would sometimes conveniently erode their friendships right before having to change schools. Vashti Harrison, the author and illustrator of Big, shared that she was inspired by her own experience of her larger body getting stuck in a swing when she was young, but also by an experience that she had at a school visit as an author. She saw a little black girl wearing a tutu that was tight around her waist, and she thought, well, she ought to know better than to wear that. She said she was struck by her attitude in that moment and realized, of course, that little girl shouldn't know better. She was a little girl, and it was Harrison who was imposing her own biases of what was an appropriate body shape for a little girl. However, even with experience, it's a good idea to go in with a certain amount of research. With Sandcastles Are Forever, I spent hours researching this friend sabotaging phenomenon and finding that some counselors actually call it sandcastling, hence the book's theme. They erode their friendships. They don't have to feel sad about the person leaving or about them leaving. Harrison shared that she spent hours researching something called adultification and learning that it's a racial bias that occurs when adults treat children of minority groups, particularly Black children, as if they are more mature than they actually are. Now, once you have your research complete, you're ready to write your manuscript. Today's picture book manuscripts are between 300 and 500 words. Oh, yay! You think? That's really short. Yes, that's really short. And that's the problem. Every phrase has to pack maximum meaning while leaving room for the illustrations to do their work of telling the story in a way that complements said text instead of simply depicting what's been written. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Once you've written your perfect, let's say 425 words, it's time to illustrate. Picture books are 32 to 40 pages, always in multiples of 8 because of the way the pages are folded and sliced at the printer. And I typically start with a storyboard, like this one. In this part of the process, I'm trying to make sure that each page has a variety of perspectives for visual interest and that it's conveying the mood and emotion of the words. I'm also deciding which words will go on each page. The perfect page turn builds in suspense, anticipation, and emotional punch. Those thumbnails then turn into full-size sketches and a little bit of finished art, which then goes out to countless editors. Publishing a book is really a weird profession in which you pour loads of effort and heart into a project and then beg other people to buy it from you. If it gets purchased, then you, the editor and art director, have what feels like countless back and forths on character placement, expression, background, line weight, you name it. Then you go to full color on the whole book and the back and forths continue. And at some point, if you haven't changed professions yet, you are finished and the book goes to print about 2 years from the date the publisher acquired the book, and who knows how long from the moment you actually conceived of it. So, yeah, I could do that. Could you? Knowing what goes into picture books still perhaps doesn't convince you that you should be reading them, and that's okay. I have more to share. Picture books share information without an expectation of a base level of knowledge. I wrote this book, The Reason for the Seasons, after seeing an educational documentary showing that not only kids have misconceptions about what causes the seasons, but that vast numbers of adults do as well. And even for those who know it's the tilt of the earth and not the distance from the sun, it's okay if you didn't know that, most still couldn't understand how the tilt of the earth caused temperature differences on the surface. There is a reason why we often say, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old, when we don't understand something. Starting at the very foundation is the best way to build new understanding, and picture books do exactly that. Picture books also exercise your visual perception and information gathering skills. The best picture books do more of their storytelling through the pictures rather than the text. And some depict the exact opposite of the text. Take, for instance, this is I Am Wolf by Kelly Lee Miller. Reading only the text would lead you to believe that Wolf, you see in the corner there, a shelter dog, is perfectly fine and happy on his own. But analysis of the pictures tells a different story. I enjoy hiding Easter eggs in my own books, and time again, adults will tell me that it was their child who found them while they were reading together. We adults are quick to move through text for information, whereas kids soak up literally everything on the page. And in an age chock full of infographics on everything from brochures to social media, we have something to learn from them on this. Another point, many picture books are allegorical in nature, and in this deeply divided political time when people are quick to distance themselves or simply not acknowledge those they hurt with their vote, we adults need these reminders. I love this book. It's called The Capybaras by Alfredo Sodergeit. It starts with a community of hens and chicks living safe and secure in their coop. Sure, one gets carried off now and again and no one knows why, but for the most part, life is good until one day some capybaras appear. You see, it's hunting season and the capybaras are looking for refuge, but they're unwanted, undesirable. They don't know how to follow the rules. I don't know if Sodergeit meant it, but this book is an amazing allegory for undocumented immigration. I highly recommend it. And all the books that I mentioned today, I'll set out on the front if you want to check them out yourself. I currently have a book on submission called The Bat Box. In this story, a couple suburban woodland creatures, this raccoon and a little squirrel and a tortoise, start building a bat box. Are you familiar with bat boxes? Yeah, they're like super flat bird houses, but they're built for bats who are quickly losing habitat due to development. However, one neighbor in this case is upset. Bats, in her opinion, are dangerous bloodsuckers who will probably steal their children in the night. This neighbor catalyzes the rest of the neighborhood into protesting the building of the bat boxes. I wrote this story shortly after participating in the counter protest with Northlake in front of the La Quinta Inn a couple of years ago, and seeing how my own neighbors here in Houghton vilified those experiencing homelessness because of their personal discomfort. Furthermore, some of the best art being created today is found in picture books. As you saw in Big, Harrison used color and space to masterfully depict the little girl's emotions throughout the story. This next one, this is the Fan brothers, who are known for creating evocative panoramic illustrations with graphite, which then they selectively digitally color. This is Sophie Blackall, if you come to Earth. She's known for creating rich and detailed scenes with Chinese ink and watercolor. And lastly, this is Wolf in the Snow by Matthew Cordell, one of my favorite illustrators. He uses color combinations ranging from bold to subtle with the most unforgiving medium of all, ink, layered on in scratchy lines. Picture book art has been pushing boundaries in medium, composition, and color since their first printings from woodcuts in the 1500s. And if you would like to check out more unique picture book art, there's actually an exhibit going on right now at the Convention Center in Seattle, the Downtown Convention Center. It is the only exhibit that they've asked to come back for a second time and extended the time there because it resonates with so many people. Lastly, picture books get at essential, emotional, and universal truths in ways too beautifully simple to argue with. Whether it's that friendships are worth the effort and sandcastles are forever, the importance of self-love in shaping how you see yourself in Big, that the simplest answer isn't always the right answer and the reason for the seasons, finding where you belong in I Am Wolf, or that accepting others enriches all of us, as in the capybaras. Picture books have something important to say and show to all audiences. I hope you'll grab one sooner rather than later. Thank you.